Welcome to the most research-intensive real-time strategy top 10 list so far on this channel. I will be discussing the top 10 worst units in Total War Warhammer 2 as of June 2018, based on their statistics, abilities, effects, and price per unit. This list is completely factual and is not based on any opinion. This is all my own work as well. I've not even searched for other top 10 worst units lists on YouTube. If there are any similarities, then I apologise, but it just means we are all doing the same correct number crunching. To get these rankings, I typed every line of data the unit has into an Excel spreadsheet for every unit in the game. I then compared them all, Vlooked-up the data, sorted by the lowest statistics on average, and looked into the lowest 20 units the spreadsheet gave me. I did not account for the HP of the unit or the cost at this stage. I then placed the unit's price on each of the lines of 20 and what special abilities, effects and statuses the unit has. I did this because a unit could be the worst statistically in the game, but it could also be armour piercing, give poison and be unbreakable or cause terror. Compared to a unit with similar stats, which might not have any of these special abilities linked to the unit, it would be unfair to say that a unit is worse than another, though it has better options and effects. I then factored in the price of the unit and its health. The higher the price and the lower the stats, the higher up the bad ladder it went, to account for what you get for your money. I then narrowed it down to 10 from the original 20. Just an example which isn't completely factual, let's say Dwarf Warriors had lower stats than Horned ones, but Horned ones were more expensive, had less special effects, and were only slightly better stats wise. The Dwarf Warriors would be lower on the list because of the price, their effects, and what you get for your money, and the Horned ones would be deemed as worse than the Warriors. I then tested the data by seeing how the top 10 units I arrived at performed in game. I made each unit fight the unit above its ranking and below it. If the unit beat the unit beneath it, then it stayed in its position. If it lost, the unit went down in rankings and swapped with the victorious unit. If a unit did better than the spreadsheet guessed, then I tested it against the unit 2 steps above it to make sure it was in the correct ranking. I then checked the unit's price point and moved it around to make sure it was fair for the unit cost of each. I made sure that there were no generals present on the battlefield through use of a mod, each unit used its base stats, and there were no charge bonuses to make the fight fair. Based on all this information is how I reached my conclusion of the top 10 worst units in the game. I will list the full top 10 worst units statistically without factoring in money and effects at the end of the video for your purists out there who want to see the worst in pure unit numbers only. But this top 10, taking into account the unit's extra abilities, cost, and how it performs in battle against its contemporaries, is fundamentally the pure top 10 worst units in the game ranking. No matter how these 10 are ranked, they are statistically the worst number-wise in the game. You may want to jiggle around the ranking yourselves based on your opinion. As with many things in life, it's how you use it that makes it effective, so take this with a grain of salt. Before I get stuck into the list, thank you for listening to this ramble and getting past the technical jargon of getting this list together. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the time taken to get this video out there. I typed out over 509 lines of data and cross-referenced and tested 20 units worth of the worst data against each other, one by one. I will be making a video for each faction using the data I collated for this video in future. So if you want to know what unit is the best in the game statistically, or what units are the worst and best for your favourite factions stat-wise in future, then click subscribe below because I'm your guy, and they will be going up steadily over the coming weeks and months. I also do daily gameplay videos and lore videos, so there is always plenty for you to watch. Now, as General Shang famously said, let's get down to business. Number 10. Ungor Herd. At number 10 are the Ungor Herd. When looking at their statistics, I noticed they are overall decent. They are the most expensive out of this list at 400 gold per unit, but they have the Primal Fury ability, which gives the unit immunity to psychology, plus 8% charge bonus, plus 5% attack, and 12% speed when hitting under 50% leadership. They have the bonus of being expendable, so when routed they don't worry other units around them and cause a mass rout. And they have Stalk and Vanguard. Pretty good for 400 gold, but looking closer you can see their failings. Their 15 armour fails them a little, and against other units at a similar price point it's weak melee damage also. Vanguard helps for sure, though, and balances it out with the unit's now wide open possibilities to cause annoyance. These guys are number 10 because the price of the shields didn't overall benefit the unit in combat for the extra gold when tested, where the unshielded Ungor performed around the same for less gold. So when stacked against each other, the Ungor herd's price point is what caused its downfall to number 10 worst unit over their unshielded brothers and sisters. But Primal Fury and Vanguard kept it from going any lower. Number 9. Clan Rats. When tested, Clan Rats lost in a fight against the Ungor herd, but considering they are cheaper and unshielded, it was a close fight for the cost of the unit. Their stats are poor, with low leadership, melee defense, and charge bonus. They have charge defense against large foes and meat shield. They also have the Skaven wide ability Scurry Away, which gives the unit plus 12% speed when leadership is high, and Strength in Numbers, which gives plus 6 leadership, plus 8 melee defense, and minus 12 speed when hit points are below 50%. Good free abilities for a basic unit such as these, though the extra help didn't make much of a difference when their melee defense was so poor to begin with. It was close between the two units, but the Ungor came out on top for the Vanguard and Stalk possibilities, and the shields keep them alive for missiles longer than the Clan Rats would. Clan Rats also don't have expendable, so they are easy to make mass rout. The negatives outweighed the positives with these furry fiends. Clan Rat spears and Clan Rats with shields would be a much better choice. Number 8. Corpse Cards. Now this one, I think, wouldn't have won in any fight I put it in, bar one. I tried fighting it against the unit above and below, but it lost every time, so I thought about it more strategically than logically. Its job isn't to win battles, the list isn't that, it's about what the unit does for its price and its overall statistics. And for 250 gold, with the only real thing it's doing is giving nearby units plus 5 melee attack and plus 5 melee defense, it's a poor choice of gold. It has low HP, awful speed, and it's a huge target. It does have good leadership and armour, and better melee defense than Clan Rats, but other than that, its abilities don't make that much of an effect for the price point. Cause Sphere is good, the 15% missile resistance helps, and the regeneration is okay, but get in any other situation than the one it's meant to be in, and it's useless. 10 melee attack is poor, and 8 charge bonus, linked with its speed, makes it a very poor chariot, which is the only other real thing it could try to be in a fight. Wait for the later versions where you can choose the Lodestone or Balefire. Much better investments. Number 7. Skeleton Warriors for the Tomb Kings. Now, on paper, the Vampire Counts versions of the Skeleton Warriors were better. They were 300 gold compared to the Tomb King's 325. They had better armour, charge bonus, only by 1 mind you, and better speed. The rest of the stats are the same, so when fighting the two and seeing that the Tomb King version won, I was honestly surprised. So I tested it again. Same thing. And again. Same thing. They beat the Clan Rats too, which dropped them to number 8, so after looking at the abilities this unit has, I realised why they won. The simple fact that the Tomb King's faction ability heals after a certain amount of models lost. Without it, this poor unit would have been beaten. On paper, the Tomb King's Skeleton Warriors are terrible. 10 armour is awful. 5 charge bonus is non-existent, and their melee attack is terrible for a frontline unit. They cause fear and won't run away, which are their only saving graces. That, and the fact that they will auto-heal after a certain point in time. But other than that, it would seem that the slightest gust of sand their way and half the unit would fall over and crumble. Number 6. Goblins. Now you might say, if the Tomb King's skeleton warriors are that bad, then how come goblins, who are cheaper by 25 gold, have 15 more armour, 20 more leadership, 5 more speed, 2 more melee attack, 4 more melee defense, 1 less weapon strength, and 3 more charge bonus possibly be worse than them? Well, I was surprised too, especially when the goblins lost in the fight against the Tomb King skeletons twice. Goblins on paper are better, but the Tomb Kings had more of a HP pool and caused fear. In a fight where the little buggers wouldn't run away, they would absolutely win, but the fear grips them and before the fight was over, they would run. Goblins are actually, I feel, a good unit for the price. They have expendable and shields, but their cowardice and the Tomb King's fear-causing gaze and an inability to run from a fight was too much for these little gobbos, which is why technically, even though their stats are better, they are a worse unit. This is why I tested so much, and are a great example of numbers not meaning everything. Number 5. Skeleton Warriors Vampire Counts. These guys lost in a fight against the Tomb King Skeleton Warriors, Clan Rats, Ungor Herd, and Goblins. Without the Tomb King healing them, keeping them alive, even the little gobbos could beat these undead in a fight, and quite considerably too, which dropped these guys down from their original 8 position to 5. The fear wasn't enough this time. For 300 gold, the unit doesn't have awful stats, but against other factions' units for the same price, Goblins for example, it falls short by a long margin. Their saving grace is of course the undead aspect of them, which stops them running in a fight, and they have shields. Supported properly, then these guys are better than their desert cousins, but without it, they are the 5th worst unit in the game. Number 4. Skaven Slaves. Now many of you will probably be expecting these guys to be number 1. I know I was at first, but they aren't. On paper, they are awful. 0 armour, 35 leadership, 12 melee attack and defense, and 18 weapon strength means they couldn't beat a ladybird in a fight. But their saving grace was their cost per unit. 125 gold, they get meat shield, expendable, and the other 2 Skaven buffs mentioned earlier, and for the price, there are worse units in the game. They do their job well, but they are awful at the same time. Most things in the game can make them rout, or turn them into a bloody pile of rat on the battlefield, but with a points cost of 125, and the 100% likely event of their health dropping under 50%, which pops their strength in numbers ability, they do more than you would expect. They are still terrible though, which is why they are number 4. Number 3. Men-at-Arms. Now this may be a surprise that the Skaven Slaves beat Men-at-Arms in a fight. Well, they didn't. And they did. Here's why Men-at-Arms are at number 3. Look at their abilities. Can't see them? It's because they don't have any. They aren't even expendable. If I'm honest, I personally think this is the worst unit in the game, but the stats say otherwise, and so did the battles, so they got to number 3. These guys are useless. No abilities means no extra help in the fight. No expendable means when they inevitably lose the fight, and they will run, possibly causing a mass rout. It's their biggest failing. That, and the fact that they have rubbish stats for 250 gold. 7,800 health pool is lower than average for a frontline unit. 30 armor is weak, melee attack is slightly better than Clan Rats, and no shields means they will get torn up before they even reach the fight. At least the Skaven Slaves know this, which is why they get a speed buff of 12% when leadership is high, and have a base speed of 42. These guys have a speed of 30. They beat the Skaven Slaves in a fight, but for 250 gold, you can get 2 units of Skaven Slaves for the price of 1 Men-at-Arms, and they won every single time with 2 units against the Men-at-Arms. But not against the others. Yes, I tested 2 Skaven Slave units against the other 6 units to make this still fair. Avoid this unit at all costs. Number 2. Zombies. Again, surprised? Thought this would be number 1? I did too, but I completely forgot about one unit when collecting the data for this list, which will be revealed shortly. Firstly though, zombies. Useless in a fight. Great tar pit to hold enemies in place for longer than they want though. They have the lowest stats in the game. 0 armour, 5 melee attack, 6 melee defense, and a 3 charge bonus. You won't find lower combat stats anywhere else, which is why the data made these guys #1 overall stats wise, but their health pool is what saves them. They have a base health pool of 10,080. This is higher than an ancient stegodon and a star dragon, and only 52 lower than a Kembrian war sphinx. Crazy, right? This is why they only reached #2. Their health, unit count, cause fear and undead abilities kept them from #1. They will never beat anything in a fight, other than #1, but they will sure stick around longer than they are welcome to. Still though, what an awful unit. Skaven slaves do a lot more damage for 25 less gold. Number 1. Peasant Mob. Oh boy. When typing out the 509 lines of data into a spreadsheet, I honestly saw the Bretonia Peasant Mob and stopped. I knew these guys would be the worst when I saw them. And I honestly forgot they were a unit because I've literally never used them. It's better not to use them. They are that bad. Who would have thought dead peasants would be better than living ones in a fight? The only time you would take these guys into battle over their undead counterparts is when you need a field ploughed or hay stacked. Otherwise just keep them at home. For a mob, 8640 health is lower than most mob units, and 18 melee attack mixed with 10 melee defense is just awful. 15 armor is paper thin, and all they have is expendable and meat shield. They don't even count as spear infantry to get that extra anti-large help. They will run from anything, and I mean anything. I tested them against all other 9 units on this list, and on every single one, even the corpse cart, they ran before the fight was over, and quickly too. Even against the zombies they lost considerably. So when the spreadsheet and the game both show this unit as the worst, it better be believed. 100 gold is the cheapest unit in the game, but I'm pretty sure that's just pity for Creative Assembly to trick people into maybe fielding this unit. Avoid at all costs. Leave them in the fields. Peasant Mob is the worst unit in the game. And that's my list. Again, if you enjoyed, please subscribe for more lists like this based on stats, tests and figures in future, and for gameplay and lore videos also. If you appreciate the time spent making this video with all the hours of research and testing that went into it, then please leave a like. Let me know your personal worst unit in the game. Stay tuned for a screen grab of the 10 worst units by pure numbers coming up, but first remember to enter my competition mentioned in my top 10 worst factions video, as it ends soon on June 1st. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching.